Well, Jason and James, thanks for taking time out to do the Art of Fearlessly Doing Business interview. Please tell us who you are and what your business is.
Sure. My name is Jayson Ali Khademi, and
I'm Jaymes Khademi.
this is my brother, and he is a trained chef, went to school, and I'm a food enthusiast, and we got together a few years ago and started Saffron Jack Original Stone Bread Pizzas. We grew up eating this certain kind of bread called Sanyak. It's a Persian flatbread, and our dad brought a lot of cool cultural foods into the house, and we ate a lot of Persian food. It's like the everyday bread. It's morning, noon, and night. You can eat it with eggs. You can eat it with kebabs, whatever. And so we used to do these garbage pizzas on Sundays where whatever was left in the fridge, he would just throw on top of Sanyak with sauce and cheese, and it was like, omelet pizza type of thing. And got rid of a lot of the leftovers, but they were very fond memories. And we're like, there's nothing like that in the mobile community out here. Food trucks seem like a cool way to start an idea and to test out a concept, especially without spending, $200,000 retrofitting a restaurant.
I just like being able to be a mobile kitchen, and you can take your skills and your food and your knowledge and everything else that goes with that and take it wherever you want. And so we go up north, we go down south, we do a lot of businesses, and it's a lot of fun to meet all these different kinds of people at every different service. Even the weddings that we do, you'll have a momzilla every once in a while, but you deal with it and you get through with it, and you just keep a smile on your face.
Yeah, well, you have to have a barometer,
Yes.
So it makes you appreciate the fun times when you have one of those bad times, terrible clients. But not that it wasn't really a client; it was just somebody that was at the wedding. But we had a really cool wedding this past weekend where, like, the bride and groom posed as the
Dust Bowl?
the Dust Bowl farmers. They had like the pizza paddle and the cutter. Like it was so neat. And so we really it's intimate, and that's the cool part is all these trucks are owner operators, so they're very 3 or 4 people are working on them, so they're always clean and the food is always fresh because there's not a lot of space to store it, which is cool. So yeah. So what was the first question?
The first question is, why did you start the business?
We started because we just had an appreciation of food, and
I was tired of working where all the jobs I was at had a bar with a kitchen in the back, and I felt like I was so high I could go, that being with what I could offer as food instead of bar food, to make something a little bit nicer and do specials. I was tired of doing all that stuff and fighting with people to have to not get my way, but to be able to let other people try this other food instead of just a regular greasy look that you get all the time.
Yeah.
He wanted to do some more food work as well, and we decided this business came through.
I saw him, like, he has all these great skills. I've seen him cook, before we started this thing, and I'm like, dude, your skills are being wasted at these places. So let's do something that capitalizes on my skills, which is talking to people and glad handing and telling stories and getting people excited about what we do. And he backs me up by having all this great culinary knowledge. And so I'll say, hey, we'll have an idea like, hey, can we do this? And he'll look at me and be like, dude, that's stupid. And then I'll also go, hey, what about this? And he go, oh my God, that's brilliant. Like, let's try that. And then we worked through a lot of really fun recipes. Like, the Monte Cristo came about.
Fantastic,
we just had a bunch of strawberries. We're like, let's make some jam. We'd never made jam before, so we just made it. And then we had like 5 jars of jam, and we're like, well, dude, what the hell are we gonna do with all this jam? We have a pizza place. And so we're like, well, what do you serve? What's savory that you can serve with jam? And that's how we came up with our Monte Cristo pizza. So it's like, bacon and chicken and ham, and then we serve it with the jam on the side, and it's just like a bunch of mini Monte Cristo sandwiches. It's awesome.
The other idea from that came from watching other people have a lot of dipping sauces on their food truck or even in restaurants. So we're like, we want to do that. So that was one of the first ones that we started with.
Yeah.
We also had one that had a pineapple white wine sriracha reduction.
Yeah.
And that went with the what was it that it went with?
It was like a Hawaiian,
Yeah, it was
like
Hawaiian
a souped up
pizza, and it was
Hawaiian.
dippable. And then we
It's
had
really
an
good.
au jus pizza where we had the beef and the onions on there, and then you were able to dip it in the au jus that we cooked as well.
yum.
It was like a French dip pizza.
Yeah, that's right.
So we love not being stuck in like a Neapolitan box. Like some people are so bent on authentic, it's got to be this type of tomato and that type of cheese and this type of water and yada yada. It's like, dude, just you get stuck and you can't get out of it. It's hard to innovate. And I know like people love traditional, and Bianco started doing his thing in 95 or 96, I think. So that's 20 years ago, and now you see all these wood fire pizza places pop up in the past like 5 years.
Yeah.
It took 15 years for people to really like catch on to it. Now it's mainstay. And so this isn't necessarily wood fire, but it has like that wood fire taste. That's what's great.
Well, it's yummy.
Yeah.
So what was the first big fear that you had to overcome to get started?
For me not being in the food business, I mean, I'm a great manager, and if you throw something at me, I can figure it out. But I had to rely on a lot of his expertise, and he was still like, dude, I've never done a food truck before. Like, it's a contained kitchen, so you end up being not just a chef, but a plumber and a cleaner and an oven repairman and a light repairman and, a gas station attendant. And so it encompasses all of a sudden all these different things. And so that was a little bit daunting, just the research of putting one of these things together. And I think that's with any project. Is if you do the research, you're going to be more successful. So there's no hidden surprises once you get down the road. And the one hidden surprise that I really saw was the food truck industry. For the most part out here, most of the good spots they charge 10%. So when you add that into $150,000, $200,000 gross in a year, that's $15,000, $20,000. So that's something that I didn't think of when I first started.
And the business plan is definitely kind of a daunting moment where you have everything together, all the information, everything that you're researching, even the oven, the pepperoni, 6 months, looking for that pepperoni that we want to use, and then the oven we want to use, as well as every other utensil that comes on there. Do you have a surplus of them, like tongs? I think there's 4 or 5 tongs on there, and we don't need 4 or 5 tongs.
We barely use tongs, but then there's been times where we use all of them, like that 1 in 20. So, the biggest fear was just being prepared, I think.
So once you got started, what was the first big bump in the road, and how'd you kind of chuckled before I told you earlier,
Yeah.
what was the first big bump in the road, and how'd you get through it?
Well, you say bump in the road, and it's funny because our first big obstacle was a low-hanging bar at the inspection station in downtown Phoenix. So we turned into the wrong entryway and completely tore off the hood vent, crushed the air conditioner, and it ended up costing about $4,500, which was all the money we had left in the bank. I think we had $4,507. And so when we started our first service, we had $7 in the bank. And that was our biggest fear was, are we going to be able to do this next week? And so that, we just kind of made do, and it was a big learning curve. It really is, even coming from a culinary world. You have to learn how to work in a very tight space and how to put out food when you've got a line of 30 people. It's kind of daunting. Sometimes when you're working back of house, you don't see them, and the tickets are coming in, but you don't see the angry, I'm waiting here for 20 minutes faces a lot of times, but here you can.
It's the same as a restaurant as well, too, because you're in the back of house, and I know they have a lot more open kitchens going on, but you kind of just keep to yourself and do your work because you have to pay attention to what's going on there. Someone can burn themselves, grease can splatter anywhere, many different options for things to happen as a good or a bad thing.
Yeah.
So what's your biggest fear right now, and how are you kind of dealing with that?
Finding new spots. It's not really a fear; it's the challenge. We don't look at what we have to do like as a fear. You can't be fearful when you jump into something like this, because if you have fear, then you have doubt, and it's normal to doubt yourself. But it's almost like a point counterpoint. Like, you think of this great idea, then you have to pick it apart and go, okay, well, what could go wrong? Or and it's just like creating a recipe. You can give somebody a Julia Child recipe and they can just destroy it. It's like, dude, I told you how to do it. So sometimes coming up with the process and coming up with those things are the challenge. And then that bleeds to finding new spots. Because there's spots that just go stale. We'll do 500, 600, 700 for a lunch, and then it'll go to 400 and then 300, and then we'll be like, dude, is our food bad? And then we'll talk to other trucks, and we'll go, no, that's the same with us, and trucks that would do about the same as we did. So constantly finding new places and staying on the move and keeping it fresh. It's also great to find new places because you tap into a whole new group of people that like you on Facebook or Instagram and start following you around, and then you go, like, one of our favorite spots is 32nd Camelback because we have so many regulars. People come up and order like 6 pizzas to take home, or 4 pizzas, or they'll bring the kids out, and it's in the middle of a Tidal Max parking lot.
Wow.
But we don't do it so often that people get bored of it. It's only we do it once a month. It goes every couple of weeks, so people look forward to it. And that was another big challenge that we had to figure out was how often do you go to a spot?
It's the efficiency moment of it all, and it's being efficient on the truck as well as off the truck because of trying to keep up with social media and then trying to have pizza parties, and you invite new people over, and they see what you're doing and what's going on in the community and how local you are and what you do as well. And he works at St. Vincent de Paul as a volunteer, and there's a lot of raised bed for farms. There's the food truck raised beds as well too.
Yeah, we grow a lot of produce on this farm to supplement stuff for our food truck, and in turn for giving us the land to farm on, we go out and we feed the homeless. And that's not something that we really advertise a lot, but it's something that I think any entrepreneur needs to do, and they have to give back to their community. Their community is the one that's supporting them. So you can't, like, a big chunk of our thing comes from a big tech giant, and we're very grateful for it, but it's going to end eventually, and we have to always build up our community involvement, our events, and working in the dirt and just meeting new people. And people, I think, kind of set out, and sometimes they they don't have an end game. Like, when they start a food truck, it's like, dude, are you going to just die on this thing when you're like 65, or do you want to franchise, or like, what's your end game here? And the reason we started the truck is because we didn't have enough money to start a restaurant, really. And so we're just like, we got to make this work so we can get to that next level. And it's 2.5 years later, and we like drew up a blueprint last week. It was pretty cool. It was a great feeling to like put it down and go, oh my God, dude, as you start to visualize it and visualize it and visualize it, and then it happens. It really does.
It's going to be great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what can you tell other people about being fearless? What have you learned?
There are so many things that can just go wrong at any point in time, whether it's the oven or someone doesn't show up, or you forgot to get some important ingredient, or even knowing that you have to go to this service spot today versus it being next week and you misread the schedule.
Yeah, thinking on your feet is a big deal. Being able to assess the situation and go, okay, this is the best solution I can think of, and hopefully it fools everybody, or it works, or whatever it is. I mean, there's been
So you got to wing it sometimes.
You sometimes do. Like there's been pizza falls down the back or gets missed or something. It's like, hey, we burned your pizza. Oh, we're totally letting the secret out. No, sorry, your pizza got burnt, and we don't want to serve you a burnt pizza. Here's a Coke on the house. And I think we've had maybe 2 or 3 people really get like super pissy about it. Everybody else is like, it's fine, it's nice out, like
right.
Whatever. So that's the other cool part is that people that come up to the food trucks, they're relatively laid back. Like, they really are. We've noticed this just like group of people that follow us, especially. They're just really good people. And a lot of them we end up doing catering gigs for, going to their house and doing birthday parties for their 2-year-olds. It's like, who has a pizza catering for a 2-year-old? They just love the food so much and they want to share it with everybody. And that's, I think, the real reason why we started it, is sharing food is community. It brings people together, and I can't think of anything better to do as a career,
I
as a
just find
profession.
it really challenging, and finding how much challenge you can take every day. That's like, there's that fearless moment where you have to go through the whole day because this is your job, this is your business, this is something you have to do. If it falls on somebody, it's going to fall on you. If it doesn't fall on me, it falls on him. So I understand and I respect that it can just, what ifs can happen all the time, and sometimes you can have a meltdown. And
sometimes you just throw in the towel. I remember throwing, God, I don't remember what it was, but I threw something off the truck one day. I think I had a fight with my mom, and I lost it and threw something out the door, like into the parking lot. And Jamie's like, just go have a smoke, man. Just go relax. And we were busy. It was just like, just go relax.
So you got to take
minutes.
a time out once in a while.
Sometimes you do, and I think that's part of being fearless, is is being able to understand where your limit is, like he was saying. You know, how much can you take? And sometimes you just have to grin and bear it. You really do. And at the end of the day, you just go, man, that was the worst thing I've ever had to do. And then it really makes you appreciate all the good times and the really fun clients that we get to deal with. The bad ones are so few and far between. It makes it so enjoyable.
You look back and you laugh.
Yeah.
You have to have a lot of, I don't know, you have to have a lot of the ability to just let it go and just laugh it off and understand that people are that way. There's worse people out there.
Yeah.
Getting yelled at because you burn someone's pizza is not
always.
the biggest thing
Yeah.
in the world, you know, especially right now. You just need to stay with it and keep it going. And if you really have the passion, the drive to do it, then you will be successful.
All the people that I know, especially in the food truck industry, we've seen a lot of people start and finish. I mean, the guys have started and left within a month, 2 months. Some people last a year.
Yeah.
We just lost another one of our good food truck friends. They were out for over a year. But we were talking. There's no end game, and everybody's in that industry is as much camaraderie as we have. Everybody's really out for themselves. And the ones that have lasted are the ones that sacrifice everything. It's not a 9 to 5. Working for yourself is not a 9 to 5. If that's what you want, then go get a 9 to 5.
Right.
That's why they call it that. Working for yourself and being entrepreneurial means you're responsible, and that extra weight carries on your shoulders. But that also goes back to how much weight can you handle, and some people can handle a lot more than others. Entrepreneurs tend to have that common trait. They can handle a lot of pressure and a lot of stress, and they come home and they, punch a punching bag or they drink wine or whatever it is that they do to unwind. It is, and then they go back out in the day and they kick ass 100%, and then they keep doing that, and eventually they reach that tipping point, like Malcolm Gladwell says, and all of a sudden all these right decisions start making sense, and then they all build up, and then everything just happens like that. And I feel that we're pretty close to that with the bakery being able to put something out in Arizona that nobody has. There's nothing like it in Arizona, and the goal is for us to have that line of 30 people hanging out waiting for bread. Yeah. And hopefully our dad will be here. We'll have that old Persian guy hanging out in the corner,
awesome,
watching soccer on a tiny TV.
Well, I really appreciate you taking time out for the Art of Fearlessly Doing Business interview. I look forward to seeing you at the opening at the Walter Gallery in May.
We're looking forward to it. It's a lot
And
of
good
fun.
luck with the restaurant. Keep me posted.
Thanks for
Thanks.
talking with us.